what is your most cancelable 49ers take? Now, this was a little meme going around on Twitter like a couple weeks ago, your most cancelable food take. An opinion you have that is so unpopular, you probably wouldn't even utter it. And you'd only do it if someone forced you to, because there's nothing to gain. It's just going to make people mad. But we're doing it because it's an exercise for fun. So people don't cancel either of us. This is our most cancelable 49ers take. You go first.
That Kyle Shanahan is a great play caller and not a great head coach. That Kyle Shanahan is a great play caller and can call great plays and sequence great plays, but cannot develop a young quarterback talent.
I don't disagree with you. And I think I'd even go further. He can be a great play caller. He has stretches where he's as good as anyone. Fourth quarter of a must-win game in the playoffs, he can sort of lose himself a little bit. So I will say he is an elite play designer. Although I'm curious to see what losing Mike McDaniel will do. But for this time being, elite play designer, sometimes an elite play caller, most of the times. Questionable his decisions, especially at the quarterback position, which is a big one. So that's a good one.
And game manager. I think he's a great play caller, but how do we call him a great head coach when in the Super Bowl he got Deebo Samuel 2 touches in the second half, and at halftime he was the most dominant 49er player, and in this last game they went final 13 minutes of the game without Deebo touching the football. So to me, you have a meeting on Thursday before the game saying, this is how many touches I want my star to get. And, no touches in the last 13 minutes of the game, 2 touches in the second half against the Chiefs. I mean, being a coach is putting your best foot forward. That's not putting your best foot forward.
I love it. Great answer. Okay. Here's my most cancelable take. And I think it's a pretty cancelable one. I think 99% of Niner fans would disagree with me. I say, trade Nick Bosa. I say trade Nick Bosa. I know I said trade George Kittle. That's not going to happen. You could trade Nick Bosa. And the reason I say do it, first of all, we talk about injury history for Deebo Samuel. Nick Bosa's is more severe. I mean, Deebo's pulled muscles, broken bones. Nick Bosa has had season-ending injuries at every level of football, high school, college, NFL. So that applies to him too. And as we said earlier, Deebo Samuel can sort of change the game single-handedly. There's not that many players in the league that can take a screen on 3rd and 20 and gain 83 yards. That's pretty special. Nick Bosa is great, but he can't do it all by himself. And Nick Bosa making $8 million a year, which is what he's been making the last few years, is probably the most. I mean, it's the best asset in the league. But once he's making 27, 28, 29, and you've put all your money on your D-line into him and Eric Armstead, do you really have a top 5 pass rush, or do you just have 2 really highly paid defensive linemen? It seems like what you want is 4 good pass rushers, maybe 8 good pass rushers with the second wave. And with Chris Kasarik, you can get that. But when you start giving all this money to Nick and Eric Armstead, I wonder how good the entire pass rush really will be.
Fair. I will say this, though. Here's my line. I don't trade star quarterbacks. I don't trade future Canton, Ohio, future Hall of Famers. And I do not trade defensive linemen who command a double team.
Fair.
I wouldn't have traded Buckner. I don't think I would trade Bosa. To me, when you have a defensive lineman that commands a double team, you are dictating to the offense.
Yes, you are.
And that's Bosa, commands a double team. Buckner commanded a double team. To me, that's where it all starts. That's where your mismatch, if you have one, starts. So that's the line I would draw. I don't want to trade any defensive lineman that commands a consistent double team, and I think he does.
Well, I think the right answer.
But the injuries are legit.
Yeah,
I mean that's a factor.
It was so interesting to me is that forever, like 100 years, the truism was, defensive end is the second most important position in football. Now all of a sudden, the NFL I think is maybe having a paradigm shift, and wide receiver is skyrocketing in importance. Partially because Jamar Chase, maybe because of Deebo Samuel, maybe because of Cooper Kupp, but all of a sudden, the top paid wide receiver gets paid more than the top paid defensive end. And I think this is what this comes down to. Do you think that the D end is still the most important position on the field other than quarterback, or is it now the wide receiver?
I think it goes quarterback, elite left tackle,
Hmm.
and then I'll put wide receiver over defensive end because I can go 10, 11 deep on my D line and just have a bunch of guys who just play with their hair on fire and rotate another guy
That's what
through.
I'm saying. That's what
Um, so I got 3 downs of Ebukam. Now here comes
Mhm.
Jordan Willis. Now here comes
Waves.
Arden Key, and I
Right.
got so many different guys. Where that wide receiver is a like security blanket for your offense. And also, let's be honest, the throws are shorter than ever before, and the run after the catch is bigger than ever before. So you're asking the wide receiver to not just catch it in a crowd underneath, make somebody miss, and make a big play. That's leaning a lot on an individual's talent. So I think wide receiver has been vaulted up
Yes,
in
and if you think
importance.
about it, if that's the trend, ball coming out quicker and quicker, quarterbacks just distributing to playmakers, them being asked to take the ball from behind the line of scrimmage and make things happen. Well, that really devalues Nick Bosa. Really devalues Nick Bosa. If this was a 7-step drop league, a play action league, Nick Bosa is the most valuable player in it. But as soon as everyone goes to the shotgun and it's just boom, 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 all of a sudden, do you need to be spending $30 million on that edge rusher? It seems to me that D end, especially if you have Chris Kasarik, is not D end, D line is a great spot to go money ball because you can platoon the whole thing. You have your run defenders, you have your pass rushers, you have waves, and you got this great defensive line coach who gets the most out of anyone. I don't know.
Once
I don't know.
again, the difference is the double team for
It's
me.
true.
But yeah,
It's
it's all
true.
about numbers. It's
It's
all
true.
about showing up in camp with like 15 different guys that you believe in
Yep.
and maybe utilizing a dozen of them.
Yep. I guess really the best point here is if you're afraid about giving Debo Samuel's money because of injuries, what about Bosa? That's what I would leave you with. What about Bosa? Are we sure?
Yeah,
He's
no,
a theory.
no.
Yeah.
That he had the core injury at Ohio State. He barely played. He, tore up the knee at MetLife against the Jets in week 2 a few years ago. That ended that year. I would also say that in some of the biggest moments, he's I don't want to say AWOL, but he's been out there, but not necessarily dictating the tempo of the game. So
Yeah.
it kind of shows that one defensive end, if that's all you got, you can slide your line that way, chip
Yes.
them, and take
Yes.
them away or get
Yeah.
rid of the ball. And the other thing is the best quarterbacks in the league, Grant, get rid of the ball quick. They're getting rid of it now. They're not giving your star they're neutralizing your defensive end with their 3-step drop and the ball's coming out. So, it's harder to neutralize a dominant wide receiver in some cases.
I really think that the value of a defensive lineman is going down. I'm with you. I would take an offensive lineman over because the offensive line has to play 100% of the snaps. Defensive line, you could really get creative with platoons. And I mean, it's what Bill Belichick's been doing ever since he traded Chandler Jones, which people were quite surprised when he did that. Anyway, I'm canceled. You're canceled. Last 2 takes. C. Turley says, Grant and Larry, did you give any credence to the Tom Brady unretiring to get to the Niners rumor? Well, I don't know about that, but the whole thing with the Dolphins was fascinating.
That he's going to be a partial owner and then he might,
And then it makes you like go back and be like, well, did Bill Belichick know it? Did he sabotage this? Or was that just like, I don't know, good luck on his part?
I wanted to see Brady. I wanted to see Brady unretire and come here because to me, one more year of development for Trey, I don't want to say is needed, but I think it wouldn't hurt.
Definitely wouldn't hurt. Charlie says trade Debo to Jets, 10th pick, swapped second, third, second 23. Niners are good 5 of the best players at their position, paying $25 million for an injury player.
I want more than just 10th pick overall and then pick swaps. I want more than that. I mean, if you're trading Debo Samuel, Debo's a good guy and a leader. Tyreek Hill's had problems off the field and was way expensive. And the Chiefs are up against the cap. The Niners don't have to make this move. This trade has to work for them on the back end. They're going to get grilled by their fans. Grilled. You tracked a lot of the hardcore fans. The hardcore fan sees the big picture and goes, yeah, you know what? 4 and 10 and maybe a second or, maybe the 10th or the 4th and like couple seconds, maybe a future pick. They see the nuances of it. The general fan who's not as informed is going to be like, what? You traded Debo Samuel? He's in the prime of his career. He was the best player you got. Fire Lynch. They're going to be screaming it loudly. So John Lynch needs to win any trade that he sends Deebo Samuel away.
Before we head out, I said I would trade Bosa. What do you think he would get you in a trade? The Niners.
I think he would definitely get you multiple number ones. I think 2 firsts are probably a good start. Maybe 2 firsts and a fifth, 2 firsts and a third, something like that. I think
you can get that number 4
three
pick from the
picks.
Jets. You might be able to get the number 3 pick from the Texans. I mean, he's better than any edge rusher. He's better than Aiden Hutchinson. Is he better than Thibodeau? Probably better than Thibodeau.
Yeah, I think so. He's more complete. He's more complete than Thibodeau.
So anyway, something to think about.
He's more athletic than Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah.
Team Ayuk. Yeah. Hey, no, I'm just kidding. He's not here anymore. He was here earlier.